What is a windmill's favorite type of of music? I heard they're big metal fans. Also, windmill is like that's like a dance move for like if you ever like me and binge watch. I don't binge watch Cannibal Corpse, but it's a good band. Um, I prefer Dying Fetus. Both good bands. Anyways, they do a windmill. I can't do it right now because I'm hunched over on my couch doing a YouTube video. But essentially, the reason why I'm doing this video is because uh my channel is a music channel. You can see by the little musical note beside my name. It's an official artist channel. Excuse me. God. So, my channel is it's dedicated to the time that I dedicated to putting in time to make beats, to make these instrumentals. Some people, some of my fans, some of my group, my support network. That's what I call my fans. uh, they might not understand what the terminology a beat is, and it's just the instrumental that usually goes behind or within a rap song or a hip hop song, and or R&B, right? You know, a beat is simply put an instrumental. It's a loop most of the time, but of course, you and anyone with music have an infinite landscape of possibilities that you can draw from. Maybe that's like something good to talk about. Really, this is a tangent, but um, I find that people don't experiment enough, and it's almost frowned upon to do avant-garde and experimental stuff. Which I think when you're learning to make music, which is you never stop learning to make music. If you're a musician, you're always learning, and if you're not, I doubt you're a musician. Probably a robot. Probably an AI with them audios. So, um, when when essentially you um go to learn a DAW, there's a few ways to go about it, but there's no shortcuts. There's absolutely zero shortcuts. It's like you could read a book about how to ride a bicycle, but you're still gonna fall off, right? And I don't mean that in the rap culture sense, although it's inevitable as well. You're not gonna be on top forever. So that was a double entendre. Wow, I'm smart. Um, but essentially, if you're learning a DAW, you could go about it trying to go onto YouTube tutorials or forums, if that's still a thing, and learn all the tips and tricks and ins and outs of the sexy producer life, which is not very glamorous at all. But I mean, people would have you fooled with all the nice gear and colorful lighting and such. But a lot of the time, that method of just trying to emulate other people, it does take you places. But the only reason why it does that is because it just sits you down on your butt in front of your computer, or Palm Pilot or whatever you use, and gets you working in a DAW, right? It gets you making electronic music, and there's no substitute for work or practice or putting time and effort into it. And you'll find that the prescripted or organized or the method of just doing what other people do will get you far. I'm not going to say it's not going to work, but really, the fun, in my opinion, comes in when you play around, when you pick weird sounds, and you're like, how can I make this cool? Pick presets that don't necessarily go together. Make music that sounds wrong, because in music, I mean, there's not very much stuff that's wrong in music, although you don't need to you don't need to fact check me on that one. I'm sure there are musics out there that are pretty wrong, but for the vast majority of people, when you go into something, like when you're a kid, when you're primed for learning, you go into it with a sense of play. Like when, you know, let's say I'm gonna say a lot of my support circle are gamers, like real gamers, and I mean, real gamers will know this, that everyone sucks when they first start video games, but you just keep on messing around, trying new things until it clicks, until something, some method, some kind of formula works for you, and then it becomes fun. But you need that effort, you need that failure at the start, over and over and over again, hitting your head against the wall. You know, playing Halo 3 with your brothers or your friends or roommates or whatever, and then having them wipe you out every single time, but you learn a little bit, incremental, and then all of a sudden you're on top and you're winning. You know, it's rewarding. It's rewarding. Don't think that because music isn't going to get you uh, financially secure, or I mean secure status wise, it's not going to make you famous overnight. A lot of the people that do have the unfortunate curse of fame do so because they had a lot of backing and opportunities and networking, nepotism, which just means family connections or whatever. So I don't know. I think the best thing you can do is maintain that sense of play, maintain the sense of whatever. I'll just do whatever I feel like at this moment. I'll make whatever song I want, even if it's as a joke, even if it's as something that I think is going to sound terrible. Just do it, have fun, and you never know. That one choice to let go of all the seriousness and just make a freaking beat. Make a beat sampling friggin' a rubber chicken, you know? And you could do that. You could take it, you could freaking stretch the sample, pitch it down, and make some kind of weird atmospheric Silent Hill esque, percussion or some shit. But the point is, you can't have mastery at any level without a sense of experimentation and play, and letting go of this idea that you have to be number one, you have to compete, you have to make the best beats. It's a cliche to say it's subjective, but really to illustrate, I think there were a lot of artists throughout history that thought that their music probably was crap, or that it wasn't about being the best. Like, let's say punk rock. It was about just sending a message out there, standing up for activism, being tired of this hoity-toity bullshit. I mean, grunge too, right? I'm fairly certain that at the time, it was a departure from the image that was portrayed by a lot of mainstream heavy metal, glam metal, and all that stuff about elitism and all that. When you could, I think this is somewhat of a quote, when you could just make as much racket and as much noise and get people as riled up with just small amps in a small location and just playing your heart out. And I think obviously grunge had a huge impact. I mean, kids nowadays are still idolizing people like Kurt Cobain, which you got to take the total package. I think he was a tortured soul, and I think that some of his ideas were quite good, but yeah, That's a bittersweet one. It's kind of like when people look at the Joker and Harley Quinn's relationship and, relationship goals. No, definitely not. Do not ever think that that is what you want, because you'll get it. Anyways, this is a weird tangent. What I'm saying is that um music is personally my number one thing. It gets me through the day, it gets me through my mental health struggles. It makes me feel like I've accomplished something. And it can be a gift for anyone who's allowing themselves to participate in it. I think no matter what method or medium that you wish to express yourself on artistically, that um, that it's essential that you just throw everything at the wall. You just decide that maybe this isn't going to go anywhere. Maybe it won't, but what do I want from it? How do I want to present myself? A lot of people rush into the internet nowadays because it really is a part of our lives 24/7. When we're not addicted to our phones, we are thinking about it, right? And I think that we don't have the time to sort out whether or not we are representing ourselves in the manner that we want. I don't even think a lot of people ask themselves this question. Like, if, let's say, overnight I was a success, people flocked to my channel for one reason or another, hopefully positive ones, but I don't really care. What do I want to be remembered for, right? It could be post-mortem. After I pass away, people just discover my channel, people discover my stuff. What vibe, what memory do you want people to associate with your mug, with your face, with your music, with your life, right? How do you want to be remembered? And I think when people think of me, I hope that they see a person who has struggles, who has challenges, demons, maybe isn't anywhere near perfect, but tries to be genuine, honest, and straightforward. I want people to remember me for my good vibes, trying to give out a decent feeling for everyone. Appreciation of music, appreciation of themselves as people, right? Yeah. Wow. It's an ongoing process. And it's like Anne Rice says, the further you go on through life, the more you become who you truly are inside. And perhaps that's a subtractive process. Perhaps that's just running through everything that doesn't seem to work with your particular nature. But I think that's a good thing. I think unless you're somehow disillusioned, or not disillusioned, but misled into believing that the true version of yourself is something you want to shy away from or reject entirely, then it should be a good thing. And I think this is a great segue into talking about this with music. If you really want to succeed in music in any respect, which is up to you. You can't just assume that what I say it means that you're gonna succeed. But I think about this with my music. I think, what am I honestly trying to put out there? What am I honestly trying to say in my music? And how can I better represent myself in the world nowadays? I think asking questions is beautiful. One thing I'll mention is, as far as insecurities, if you ask the question that is abstract, like, or insecure, like, is my music good enough, or am I good enough? Is really what you're asking. Um, are my efforts worthwhile? It's not necessarily something that gets you anywhere closer to confidence, even if the person says that it is good enough, right? Because really, it's a loaded question. You're asking people to take it easy on you because, of course, it's not good, but you just need that positive pep in your step. And what I think, if you're more specific and you say, uh, I have a goal with my music, this is what I want to achieve. Am I achieving that goal? Literally, with the structure or the mix, or the mastering, or the instrument choice, or whatever. Am I accomplishing this goal? And still, even if you ask one, two, three people, maybe they aren't the right people for you to ask that question. Maybe they just don't vibe with it. Maybe they don't understand fully what you mean. One thing that blows my mind and that most people don't understand is that if you know what an axiom is, it's like if you were to have say like a fisherman's net, every single intersecting X, the middle part, that's an axiom. If you can imagine metaphorically the amount of ways that people can misinterpret or mishear or misjudge or misrepresent what you're saying are so countless and innumerable that it's a wonder how we all can communicate with each other in a manner that is effective, if you can call it that. But I think that essentially just trust your gut. Make something that you are proud of. And if you have a hard time being proud of what you do, work on that. Enter Zen from there, as the Zen Buddhist would say. Right? You're confronted with an obstacle, stop, breathe, let it go, come back to it. If you're having trouble in life, if this society, the economy, government, corporations are getting you down, just have a moment to yourself and don't allot it to this idea that you have to work on some kind of goal or be productive in whatever aspect you're trying to eliminate from your situation. Just pause for a moment and realize that, you have a right to exist. You have a right to have your perspective validated. It might be inaccurate or it might be right on point. But essentially, it's just, we all face this shit. We're all here, conscious living beings, looking through eyes at cameras now more than ever, and we're just trying to reach out. We're trying to reach out and be heard and hear other people's stories. Be receptive, experiment, find out who you are, practice that. What you practice, you get better at. Mark my words. If you practice knowing yourself, asking questions, which really, you go on quests when you ask questions, right? And statements, they're just you know what is that, what I'm trying to say? Statements close the mind, questions open the mind. Questions are honest. What do you want to do? How do you want to present yourself? I think if you look at too many people who are too wrapped up in statements, then it's easy to follow their lead, but to be honest, it's better to point your compass in whatever direction you feel suits your best interest and your best health and everyone else's best interest and health. You're not here to prove yourself worthy. You're not here to try to change anyone else's mind. You're just here to hopefully have a decent time while you're here and provide some value. Don't try to change people. Don't try to change your specific wonky beat making style at the start. Embrace it. Embrace yourself. Embrace your dreams. Buy gold.